Hi, it's Rich Tarani. Thanks for watching TMCNet's Editor's Day Santa Clara 2015. On our program is Adnan Lawai. He is with Folio3 and Meeting Mogul. Adnan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization, what you guys do?
Sure. So Folio3 is a company that builds enterprise mobile software. We believe in building mobile-first solutions. One of the things that we have within our organization is something we call Folio3 Labs, and one of the latest and greatest products of Folio3 Labs is an app called Meeting Mogul that helps you get into your meetings conveniently. It's a mobile-first approach to meetings, and it helps you basically organize and get into and follow up on your meetings.
And I think one of the big conveniences of life is to have a solution like yours that allows a very quick connection into a conference call, especially when you're in a vehicle. I think just because of the safety aspect of, I don't know how many accidents have been caused because of the PIN codes and all the things you need to put in for a conference call, but I have to imagine that people have been driving and decided they were going to put in a 17-digit PIN, and then they put it in, and then, I forgot to hit pound, and then put it back in. Your solution eliminates that problem.
We are solving that problem, and that's the key, sort of the killer feature of Meeting Mogul right now. So imagine this. You're driving down the road, as you said, and you need to dial into your conference calls. A lot of people are very busy. I do that all the time. And, as you said, you need to look up and remember all these numbers. And what Meeting Mogul does is that we have this smart parsing technology that basically looks at your calendar and figures out if something is a conference call. It understands dialing codes and access numbers and so on and so forth. And if it sees a conference call, it puts a big button that you can very easily touch on your screen. It sends you a notification when it's time for a meeting. You just say or you act on that notification, and it automatically dials you in. The whole philosophy behind Meeting Mogul is that it's a mobile-first approach to meetings. And by mobile-first, it is in the moment. It's sort of, it has to be relevant. It has to be very context-aware. Today's meeting, if you just think about it, there are people, many years ago, everybody used to come together in a conference room and have a meeting that way. But today, there are people working remotely, people driving around, people who are international, who are traveling, and they are all calling from all over the world from remote locations into one meeting, right? Also, your smartphone, for the typical knowledge worker, is the device that you always have, right? You may or may not have your laptop or your PC or whatever, but your smartphone you always have. And that's at least my go-to device for everything that I can do on my smartphone, I try to do. And so, Meeting Mogul also gives you those connections into other systems like your CRM, like taking notes, like setting up an agenda, like follow-ups that enable you to have an effective meeting, to start it on time, to start it with a preset agenda so you don't waste time sort of, setting it up. And then also, you don't waste time sort of, you have a productive meeting by having those follow-ups in place. So all of those things are provided by Meeting Mogul.
Great. And, you're rolling out new features all the time. We were talking about them just before you got on set, and I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about some of the additions.
Absolutely. So recently we just released the Apple Watch version, the Apple Watch app of Meeting Mogul, and I think this is the first app that really uses the full functionality of OS 2, the new OS that the Apple folks released. It uses just a watch in order to dial into your meeting. So we've one up Dick Tracy in a way, because Dick Tracy could communicate with any one person using his watch. This way, you can dial into a whole conference using just your watch. It basically, you get a pop-up, you just act on it, and you can speak into your watch and be connected to your meeting. The other thing that we've really had some great success with in some of our large enterprise clients, and that we've now sort of, put out into general availability, is the enterprise version of Meeting Mogul. And what that does is it takes a lot of the collaboration features and features related to international traveler, dialing into meetings from international locations, a lot easier and a lot more cost effective. So imagine this scenario, right? I have a Tuesday morning meeting, which is a regular weekly meeting that I dial into for about an hour to an hour and a half every week. And I happen to be in Asia on business. I happen to be in Singapore. And, I have my company phone with the company plan, and who knows who set it up or how much it costs. I just take out my phone in Singapore and I dial into my meeting. Now, I'm on roaming because I haven't swapped out SIMs or anything like that. And I'm, placing an international call on roaming, into a US number. Obviously, that 1 hour call can easily cost me a couple of $100. So what we do with Meeting Mogul is that we have location-aware features where, based on the GPS coordinates, it understands that you're outside your country, and it will use either a local access number or voice over IP in order to dial into that conference. And the critical aspect here is all of these things are available. There is a sheet that you could take with you with all the local access numbers. There's a SIM that you could swap in, but nobody bothers to do that. Who's got time to do all of those things? The beautiful thing about the way Meeting Mogul is structured is that you dial into your meeting just as you always did with that one touch, and it just takes care of everything else. Whatever dialing rules, whether it's using voice over IP or routing through a local number, it just takes care of it. And a $200 call just becomes maybe a $10 or $20 call, and it's a very reasonable and a very easy way to get into your meeting.
Fantastic. So what else should we know?
We have great sort of features for teams as well. So, for example, that scenario that we were talking about earlier, where you have, let's say, a separate sales team and a separate marketing team and some development teams who are all getting together, you can assign a bridge, which is a number, right, to that team. And you can very quickly and very easily, in just a couple of tabs, set up a meeting for that bridge. And whether you're international or local, again, it uses the least cost dialing to basically dial into those. And only the people who are invited, who are part of that team, let's say the marketing team, will be able to dial into that team. It also, if you're a host, for example, and you have some special features, right, it will also automate dialing you into the conference call as a host, right? So it will dial in the right sort of pin sequence for a host rather than as a guest, right?
And I should also add in that you have the ability to custom dial as well. You can program it. So if you have a special, let's say you have a legacy phone system and you want to do conferencing, and I actually tried that and it worked well.
Yeah.
Where you can put in the pauses and things like that, and
Absolutely.
test it, and then now you have a kind of a default setting to dial into that conference bridge.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of weirdnesses with some of these older phone systems and conference bridges and so forth. And so there's a very easy wizard interface that lets you customize very quickly within a few seconds and just get it set up perfectly for your conference.
That's fantastic. So one last question is, in terms of your target market, is there a specific target market? Like everybody who's on conference calls, is that your target audience?
Pretty much. I think for the enterprise version, what we're looking at are companies, larger companies that have a lot of executives who do a lot of international travel, and that's the type of company that we've had really a lot of initial success with. There's a couple of companies that are customers. There's a few companies where we are doing fairly promising pilots where people are traveling all over the place, and this is just a really convenient and a very cost-effective way to join your meeting.
Sure, fantastic. Especially the international features, I think, are fantastic. You pay for the solution in a very short time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here. This is great.
Thank you so much.